Hello and welcome to another Kill Team Battle Report, where today we will be playing the Domination mission, where the goal of the Kill Teams is to secure these objectives and attempt to hold more than their opponent. Now, you must perform the action Claim Ground on an objective to secure it, and once you have performed that, you can actually move away from the objective. You don't have to be within circle of an objective to hold it after you've done that action. For every objective marker you secure on your side of the board, you get 1 VP. If you hold more objectives than your opponent, you score an extra VP for that. So the goal is to hold your own 2, and potentially there's one in the middle, or maybe one of these back on your opponent's side. And that's the mission. So today what we have is the Space Marine Reavers have been tasked at reclaiming what they thought was an abandoned orc outpost, which was taken over by the orcs. Unfortunately, they have arrived here and they found it's actually no longer controlled by the orcs. It is the Kroot which have moved in. What happened to the orcs, no one knows. However, some of these Kroot seem to have green flesh stuck between their teeth. So on the Reaver team, we will have 5 Reavers with a Reaver leader, which is that orange-haired gentleman right there. And the equipment that they have chosen is we're going to have 4 grapnel launchers, which will be given to this model here, this one here, skip this one, the leader and Scarhead. They also have 2 grab chutes, one on the leader and one on the Scarhead. And the final equipment they have is a frag grenade, which is on Scarhead. Now the grapnel launcher actually allows them to scale terrain, so instead of any upward movement distance of 3 circle will only be treated as 1 circle for them, and they do not have to be within triangle of terrain to climb up it. And also moving off terrain, the distance needed for the downward distance is halved for them also. Now onto the Kroot team. We have 4 Kroot hounds, Krootox, Kroot warrior, Kroot leader, and the rest is Kroot, standard Kroot there. And the Kroot equipment will be, they're going with 5 Surefoot charms, which will be 1 on the Kroot shaper here, 1 on this Kroot beastman here, 1 on the Kroot leader, 1 on this other Kroot beastman, and 1 on the Krootox. What the Kroot charm does is if you activate any of these models that have the Surefoot charm, if there is another model within square of it and visible, once that operative's finished its activation, you can immediately activate the other operative that was within square. So it essentially gives a group activation to the Kroot. So now we're just going to roll off to see who is the defender and the attacker. So first going to be the Space Marines rolling. They get a 1. And now the Kroot. It's a 5 for the Kroot. So the Kroot will get to decide if they will be the attacker or if their opponent will be the attacker. And we're back, and with the Kroot winning the roll-off, they chose to be the defenders, which means they have chosen to set up on this side of the board. They have all gone with conceal orders. And the Reivers have set up on this side, and the deployment size is pentagon and square. So we have this guy set up on top of here. this one down here, we have their leader and their... Now, the leader and the guy with the scars on his head, they both have the grav chute, which means during the scouting step, once that's been resolved, they can do a free normal move and treat it as if they can fly. So with the scouting, the reavers have gone with a free dash, as have the Kroot, which will mean the reavers will have the initiative for the first turning point, and these two will get to do their free normal move now. So after that, this guy on the top of here, he did a dash forward from there. This is the leader and the Scarhead with the grav chute moving up onto there. And the Kroot free dash was this guy here, just moved up a bit closer to the edge there. So, going into the start of turning point 1, they will gain CP each, and for strategic ploys, the Kroot will play the perfect ambush, which allows them to change any of their orders when they're activated during turning point 1, and the Space Marines, the Reivers, will go with Bolt of Discipline, as they're all set on engage, so they'll be able to shoot twice as long as they don't perform a fight action. In terms of revealing any attack ops, the Kroot are going to reveal Overrun, which means if at the end of any turning point, a friendly operative is wholly within each kill zone quarter and more than square from the centre of the kill zone, you get a VP, and if you score it, if you do the same thing again, you get another VP. And the Reivers are going to reveal Rout and Challenge. And Rout just means that they need to incapacitate an enemy operative with a friendly operative that is within pentagon of the opponent's drop zone. And with such a large drop zone, it's quite an easy one to go with. And Challenge, I need to pick one friendly Reaver operative and an enemy operative, and that is the person he will try to kill. So we're going to go with the leader here, the orange hair. He is going to challenge the Kroot over there with the gun up in the air, so that one there. And with that out of the way, we're going to start with the Reivers' first activation, as they have the initiative, because they both selected the same scouting option, and we'll go from there. So the Reivers have activated this objective here, and then that operative just moved up to there and passed, so you couldn't do anything from there. And then the Kroot here, he just did a move up to there, moving a dash. Then it was back to the Reivers' turn, and Mr. Scarhead, who was next leader there, has activated the centre objective. He then did a normal move up to here, and he's going to throw a grenade at these Kroot here, because it is indirect. When selecting valid targets, you ignore cover. So if we're ignoring this cover, then these are not obscured. So he's going to toss a grenade, which is Pentagon. And he's going to toss it onto this guy here, because he doesn't want to accidentally kill him over here, because that's the leader's job. So he's going to toss it onto here, and it's blast circle, which will mean that anyone that's a valid target that is circled from that operative will also get hit by the same profile. It's going to be the Krootox, and it's also going to be the Kroot Shaper, but not the Kroot Hound, because from the perspective of this operative, that hound would be concealed by this guy here, I believe. If I'm wrong, then you can let me know. But so we're going to have to roll 3 lots of dice, so essentially 3 shooting attacks against the Krootox, this Kroot warrior, and the Kroot shaper. And it's going to be 4 dice on 3+, so we'll start with target, which is that guy there. It's going to be 3 normal hits. And because it's indirect, the Kroot don't get their 4+ armor save for being in cover, so it's just 3 dice, 6 up saves. That's 1 save, blocking 1 of those, meaning that the Kroot will take 4 damage from that. So I'll just put a dice down for that. So that takes him from 8 to 4. So now we'll do the attack on the Krootox. So again, with the grenade, it's 4 dice, looking for 3+. It's 4 hits, and the Krootox has a 4-up save. That is 1 save, so he would be taking 6 damage there. Yeah, so he's going to take 6 damage, taking him to 10. And finally, on the Kroot shaper model, it's 2 crits, a hit and a miss, and no saves, meaning that model will actually die. So the Krootox has been brought down to 10 wounds. This Kroot carnivore is brought down to 4, and that Kroot has been killed, and he's one of the ones we have with a Surefoot charm, unfortunately. And that's that. So for the Kroot's activation, he's going to activate there, and he's going to take, he's activated, he's claimed that objective, and now he's going to take a shot at the leader over here. It's Kroot rifle, so it's 4 dice, looking for 4+. So that's just 1 hit, which the Space Marine can retain 1 for cover, so there's no damage there, and that's the end of his activation. Now, because he had the Surefoot charm, he is then going to essentially use that on the dog that's right next to him, and the dog's going to make a charge on that leader over there. So the dog has a base movement of 4 circles, so he'll have 5 circle charge, which will be 1 circle over the barrier, and then 4 circle to get to him there. So we have 1, 2, 3 circle there in front of the barrier, which is enough to get to him with an extra circle to make the 4. So we will do that. So the Kroot hand will have 4 attacks, hit looking for a 3+, and the Reaver Sergeant is going to have 5 attacks looking for a 2+, because he has a combat knife there. So first, do the Kroot Hound. That is a crit and 2 hits, and due to it having the rending ability, we can change one of these normals to a crit. And the Sergeant, will have 5 dice looking for 2+. And that will be 3 hits. So the first thing that the Kroot Hand will do will just be to hit him for a crit, which is 4 damage. And then the Sergeant's going to just hit, and then the dog will crit, the Sergeant will parry, and then the Sergeant will hit. We'll see what has come of that. So at the end of that, the Sergeant is left with 5 wounds and he's injured, and the dog has been left with 2 wounds and they're injured. So the Reivers are going to activate the Sergeant. He's going to fight the dog. If he gets any hits dog's dead, so it's going to be 5 attacks on 3+ now. The reavers are actually going to spend a CP to essentially ignore that sergeant's injury, so he'll be hitting on the same ballistic skill and weapon skill as usual. So his first action, he's going to fight. He's still hitting on 2s because of the CP, which goes down to 1 there. That's a dead dog. And he's then going to hop over that barrier and get within pistol range to shoot his challenge target there. He has moved up to that position there. He's going to fire his special issue bolt pistol, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s. It's AP1. So that's a crit and 2 normal hits. And the Kroot can retain a dice being in cover, which it will. And then only has 1 of the dice to roll because it's AP1, looking for 4 up. Which it fails on. Which means 1 normal will be blocked, and it will take normal and critical damage, which is 7. So the Kroot will just survive that encounter. So for the Kroot's activation, this Kroot down here, he flipped his order to an engage, he activated the objective, and he's going to take a shot at the sergeant over there. So it's 4 dice, looking for 4 up, which is just 1 hit. So the sergeant has 3 dice, looking for 3 ups, and he saves it. So no damage to the sergeant there. So for the Kroot activation, the Krootox here is going to flip his order to engage. He's going to shoot at this guy right here. It's going to have 4 dice, looking for 4 ups, and it's rending, so any crits I can change a normal to a crit. That is just 1 hit, which the Space Marine can retain 1 for cover and continue on. So for the Krootox's next activation, he's going to charge that Space Marine. Just going to hop over this and then go 1, 2, and then it's enough to get into there onto him. That. And then he'll perform a fight action where he will have the Krootox fists, which will be 5 dice, looking for 3 ups, and they're brutal. Before we do that, I will just check what the sergeant's profile is, and I'll be back. So the Reaver Warrior with a combat knife will have 5 attacks on 3+. We'll start with the Krootox. And then the sergeant. So that will be 2, 3, 4 misses for the Krootox, and all hits for the sergeant. So the Krootox is going to hit him, because even parrying, he would die, so he's just going to hit, do some damage, and then the Reaver Warrior will finish him off. So the Krootox has died. So because the Krootox had a Surefoot charm, the Kroot Hound that was within square invisible is going to activate and charge the same guy. Only 4 dice, looking for 3 up, which is just 1 hit. And then the Reaver Warrior is going to have 5 dice, looking for 3 up, which is 2 crits and a hit. So even if the Hound was to parry that, there's no way it would survive, so it's going to just deal normal 3 damage, and then the Reaver Warrior will kill him. That will leave the Reaver Warrior with 5 wounds and injured. that'll be the end of the Kroot's activation. So for the Reivers activation, he just moved back to here on top of there, and now for the Kroots, the leader's just budged out here and he's going to take a shot at the Reaver Sergeant over there. It's going to have 4 dice on 3+. That's 3 normal hits and a miss. And the Reaver Sergeant is 3 dice looking for 3 up saves. Gets all of them, so he takes no damage. And with the Surefoot charm on the leader, we then get to activate this dog there. So the Kroot Hound just did a move and a dash to here. And now for the Reivers activation, the Sergeant there is going to perform Overwatch on this guy here. Now the CP we spent to allow him to ignore his injury does not apply in this instance because he's already activated. It only applies during his activation. So instead of hitting on 2+, he's going to hit on 3+ due to Overwatch and then 4+ due to his injury. So he's going to have 4 dice looking for 4+. Hitting a crit and 2 hits, and the Kroot can retain 1 and roll the other 2. I don't actually think it can survive. No. So that is a dead Kroot, which will score the Reivers the challenge attack up here, as it is within Pentagon of that operative. So for the Kroot's activation, he's just going to move around to this side and take a shot at the leader. 4 dice looking for 4 up. And none of those hit. And because of the Surefoot charm, we're then going to move this dog and see if the Reivers can perform any more Overwatch. So the Kroot Hound is going to make a long charge 5 circle to the Reaver Sergeant and fight. It's going to be 4 attacks looking for 3+. 3 hits, 1 miss, and the Sergeant's going to have 5 attacks. Instead of 2+, he will be on 3+ because he's injured. With just 1 crit there. So the Hound can't block the crit, so we'll deal 3 damage. The Sergeant will crit for 4 damage. The dog will kill for 3 damage there, so the dog takes out the Reaver Sergeant. The Reavers Overwatch, this guy here is going to Overwatch with his special issue bolt pistol, normally hitting on 3s, 4s because he's injured, and then 5s for Overwatch. So it's going to be 4 dice, 5+. It's going to be 2 hits, and it's an AP1 weapon. So the Hound will only get to roll 2 dice, looking for 6s because it's not in cover. Fails both, which means the Hound will die. So the last Kroot activation, he's going to see if he can get some luck and attack this Scarhead. He's going to have 3 attacks hitting on 3s because he's not injured, and the Sergeant is going to have 5 attacks hitting on 4s because that's the Sergeant, sorry, the Warrior. He's going to have 5 attacks hitting on 4s. So we'll start with the Kroot. 3 attacks, looking for 3+. That's not good at all. That's just 1 hit. I'm going to have to CP reroll one of those. Into a miss. Classic. And then the Warrior gets 1 hit also. So the Kroot is going to just hit him, which will do 3 damage, taking him down to 2. And the Reaver will hit him back, which will do 3 damage, taking Kroot down to 1. And that's the end of turning point 1, which has been an absolute massacre. So, well, we'll be back for turning point 2. So at the end of turning point 1, the Reaver team will score 2 points, 1 point for holding more objectives and 1 point for holding 2 objectives. And the Kroot will score 1 point just for holding 2 objectives there. The Reivers scored 2 VP for challenge and 1 VP for rout. And the Kroot have not scored anything for their attack ops as of yet. So we'll just do an initiative roll. Kroot. And the Reavers. So the Kroot will have the initiative for this turning point. The Reavers will play Bolter Discipline. And the Kroot will not play any CP, any strategic ploys. No other attack ops are going to be revealed for now. So that was it. Start of the Kroot activation, the Kroot Hound that was previously here is going to make a charge around to that Reaver Warrior there. It's going to fight him, which will be 4 attacks, 3 plus rending. Which will mean this turns into a crit, and the Kroot will CP reroll one of those to a miss, as is tradition. And the Reaver will have 4 attacks with his fists, 3 plus, getting a crit and 2 hits. So the Kroot Hound is going to block a crit, and the Reaver has no other options, can't parry the crit, it's just going to have to deal damage, which will be 3 damage, and then the Hound will crit for 4 damage, and then take another 3, leaving the Kroot Hound with 2 wounds, and the Reaver with 8 wounds. We'll go on to the Reaver's activation. So the Reaver warrior that was there has just fallen back to there and passed on his last APL. And for the Kroot activation, this guy's going to activate and fight this Reaver warrior here. So he's going to have 3 attacks. And he's going to be, because he's injured, he's going to be looking for 4s instead of 3s. He gets 2 hits, and with that Reaver warrior having just 2 wounds remaining, that would be a dead Reaver warrior. And then that Kroot's probably going to move somewhere else, and we'll come back on the Reaver's activation. So the Kroot leader is going to move up from here. He's going to take a shot at that Reaver warrior behind the barricade with 8 wounds left. It's going to be 4 dice, looking for 3 plus. It's a crit and 3 hits. And the Space Marine can retain 1, which he will. And he'll roll the other 2, looking for 3 up save. And he fails them both. Which means, let's see here, he would be taking 10 damage, which would kill him. So I think he's going to have to spend the last CP and re-roll 1 of those saves into a save. So he has the one he retained and the one he just re-rolled, meaning instead of taking 3, 6, and 4, which is 10, he will just take 3 plus 4, which is 7, leaving him with 1 wound remaining. And we're still on the Kroot's activation because of the Surefoot Charm on the leader. We're then going to activate this guy over here. So this Kroot warrior, he moved up and he's going to perform a shooting attack against the same guy. It's going to be 4 dice looking for 4 up. It's 2 regular hits, one of which will be blocked by the Space Marine for being in cover, and the other 2 looking for 3 ups. And save, so he doesn't take any damage there. So for the Reavers activation, the Reaver that was behind here has just moved up to there, and he's going to take a shot at the Kroot leader with his special issue bolt pistol, which will give him 4 attacks, looking for 3+, and it's AP 1. It's going to be a crit, 2 hits. Kroot can retain 1 for cover, which he will, and he'll roll his other one looking for a 4 up, which he doesn't get. So would that kill him? That would be a total of a crit and a hit, which is 7, which wouldn't kill him. We are going to CP reroll that for the Kroot. Getting the save, which means that we'll block 2 normals from the cover and the roll, and take the crit, which is 4 damage, which will leave that leader uninjured with 4 wounds remaining. So for the Kroot, this guy over here, he was previously on there. He switches all into a conceal and moved and dashed up to that location. Now for the Reaver activation, this guy here is going to take a shot at the dog down there before moving and dashing. It's going to be 4 attacks hitting on 3+. It's 2 normal hits, and the Kroot Hound doesn't have any cover, so we'll have 3 dice looking for 6s. Getting no 6s, meaning the Hound is dead. And because of that, we're now going to reveal for the Reivers attack op Deadly Marksman. So we don't actually get a VP yet. He has to incapacitate another enemy operative to get 1 VP, and then has to survive till the end of the game. So this Reaver is then going to move and dash off the edge there and just stay down here. And we'll move to the last activation of the Kroot, to be this guy here. And he is just going to hit both of his action points on plant signal beacon, and he's going to plant it right there. And that will be his activation over and the end of turning point 2, where again the Reavers will score 1 point for holding these 2 objectives and 1 point for holding this one because they have more than the opponent. And the Kroot will again score 1 point for these 2. And the plant signal beacon attack op has now been revealed, and it will have to stay there and not be destroyed by the enemy to score 2 VP at the end of the battle. So we'll see how that goes. We'll just do an initiative roll for the next round, starting with the Kroot. 3, and the Reavers with a 1. So the Kroot will have the initiative again. So at the start of turning point 3, the Kroot spent a CP on a strategic ploy called Hunting Call, which allows them to reroll 1 dice in the attack step of combat. And the Reavers spent their last CP on Bolter Discipline. And for the Kroot's first activation, the leader here is just going to move over here, and he's going to take another shot at this Reaver there with 1 wound remaining. This time at this angle, he won't be able to retain any dice because he doesn't have any cover. So it's going to be 4 dice for the Kroot, looking for 3+. Which is a crit and a hit. And the Space Marine can't retain any, so he's going to have 3 dice looking for 3 ups. Failing all of them, meaning that this Reaver warrior has been killed. And because we activated the leader, he has a Surefoot charm, So for the next activation, this Kroot here is going to make a charge onto that Reaver there. And the Reaver is going to have 5 attacks, looking for 3+, whereas the Kroot will have 3 attacks, looking for 3+, rerolling 1 dice due to the strategic ploy if needed. Kroot, it's a crit and a hit, and reroll that one into a crit. So that's 2 crits and a hit, and the Reaver will have 5 attacks with his combat knife, looking for 3 up. Getting 2 misses, 3 normals. So, Kroot gets to go first, and knowing that the Reaver there has the potential to kill him if he doesn't block one, he's going to take his 1 normal, block that, and the Reaver can't block the crit, so he's just going to hit for 3. The Kroot will crit for 4. The Reaver will hit for 3, and then the Kroot will crit for 4. So the Kroot will have 2 wounds remaining, and the Reaver Warrior will take a total of 8 wounds, leaving it with 4 wounds, and it is now wounded. So we'll come back to the Reaver activation. Now for the Reaver activation, this Reaver here is going to fight the Kroot. If he scores any hits on him, that Kroot will die. But he is injured, so he's going to have 5 dice, and he's looking for 4 ups. So he has 2 crits and a hit, which means he kills the Kroot. He is then going to take a shot at this Kroot here with only 1 wound remaining, with his special issue bolt pistol, which is 4 attacks, and it's going to be looking for 4 ups because he's injured. So he hits 1, and it's AP 1, and that Kroot in that position doesn't have any cover, so he's going to have 3 dice looking for 6 up saves. And he gets the save. Sorry, he should only have had 2 dice there, so that's my fault. We'll just roll it again, to be fair, I suppose. No save, so that's a dead Kroot. After the Reaver Warrior had fought and shot here, he then charged the leader there. The Kroot who was here did a move and a dash up to this location, and the other Reaver Warrior that was down here has made a move to here. And then finally, the Kroot that planted the signal beacon here was able to make a charge onto the Reaver Warrior. He's going to fight him, which will mean he will have 4 dice. No, sorry, he's combat, so it's 3 dice, looking for 3 plus his rifle blaze, but because he's in combat with his fellow Kroot, he gets +1 to his weapon skill, so we're hitting on 2+. So 3 dice hitting on 2+. If he gets a crit, that Reaver Warrior dies. And there's a crit there, which is 4 damage, which will kill that Reaver Warrior right there. And that is the end of turning point 3, where the Reavers will yet again score 2 points from the main objective, and the Kroot will score 1. And no other tac ops have been scored, so we'll just do an initiative roll, starting with the Kroot, 5, and the Reavers with a 1. So the Kroot will have initiative for the next turning point, and they will both gain a CP. We'll be back for the final turning point. So for the final turning point, the Kroot aren't going to play any strategic ploys, but the Reavers will again just play Bolt of Discipline, meaning they have no CP left. And for the Kroot's first activation, the leader here is going to make a move up onto that objective, and he's going to shoot at this Reaver Warrior here. So it's going to have 4 attacks, looking for 3+. And that's no hits. It's not going to bother to reroll any of that. And because he has the Surefoot Charm, we are then going to go on to the Kroot's activation and activate this one here. So that second Kroot moved up onto the objective and did the activation to secure it. So now onto the Reivers activation, this warrior here is going to use his bolter and shoot at the leader first. It's going to be 4 dice, looking for 3+. She's a crit and 3 hits, and the leader is in cover, so he gets 3 dice, looking for 4 up. Failing 2, which means the leader will die. And then the Reaver warrior is going to, I think he's just going to move up to here, to within range of the objective, and because he has 3 APL, he controls it, and he's just going to activate it for his 3 activations to claim it back. And for the Kroot's final activation, which is going to be this guy back here, he is just going to move up. He's going to take a circle to hop over that barricade there. Then he's going to move 1, 2 circle onto this objective, and he is going to then claim that one. And that will be the end of the match. So I will just tally up the scores, see what they got, and we'll see who won that match. So finally, for the final scores, the Kroot scored 5 points for the primary objective in total, getting 1 point in the first 3 turning points and 2 in the final. The Reivers scored 2 VP for the first 3 turning points and only 1 in the final, giving them 7 for the primary objective. It was the TAC Ops that then pushed the Kroot to 7 VP. Because they managed to plant the signal beacon. They almost got overrun, but unfortunately just couldn't get that. And then this final one was marked target, which was the leader. They just could not get shots to hit on that leader before he died. And for the Reivers, they actually scored all their TAC Ops. Managed to get route. They were able to get challenge. And Deadly Marksman, they managed to just get at the end there because this guy here was the marksman, and he managed to take a shot at the leader and kill him whilst he was wholly within square of the deployment zone. So in the end, the Kroot had 7 and the Reivers had 13. So again, it just seems really difficult to score those TAC Ops for the Kroot. Unfortunately, I think if some of those dice rolls went a bit better at the start, especially on the Krootox, they might have done a lot better, might have swung it a bit further, because at the end, still have a couple Kroot left, managed to get onto here. Might have gone a bit differently, with some better rolls there. And obviously the search and seek and destroy TAC Ops are some of the easiest to get, especially if you're against someone like Kroot, which are quite easy to kill. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and well, see ya!